Hey everybody, welcome back. And today marks the first episode, and possibly the last, well, not possibly, but the first of this new thing I'm trying. And I don't really have a name for it, so for now I'm just going to call it Discography Review. And what's going to happen is I'm going to take an artist and review their entire discography of studio albums. And before I get into today's artist, I want to real quick talk about the rules, how I pick the artist, and how you can get an artist into the running. First of all, main rules. An artist must have 4 studio albums at least, and I'm calling a studio album whatever comes up on their Wikipedia page under studio albums. And I know that's not very reliable, but deal with it. I don't know. Second of all, I'm calling an artist. I am able to veto an artist. So, for example, I will never cover R. Kelly on this show. Not only because I don't think he has over 4 studio albums, but also he's a rapist and a pedophile. And I don't really want to listen to him. And I don't listen to him, and I don't want to start. So with those 2 rules out of the way, I want to talk about how I pick. And it's quite a simple process, actually. How I pick is basically... Let's see if I can find it. Nope, not in there. So what I do... I probably should have grabbed it first. Yeah. God damn, that's a rock. What I do is I have this notebook, and I have 5 different genres, and basically I have alt rock, I have rock, I have pop, I have indie, and I have rap. And I'll essentially take a random number generator, hit it, and whatever artist is on that number, I'll pick it, and then do that for all 5 genres. Do 1 more for every genre, so that's like a random artist, I guess, and then take all 6, and whichever one is picked by the random number generator, that's the artist I cover. Now, you can get your artist into the running by, you can comment under this video what artist you want and tell me the genre you think they'd fit in: all rock, rock, pop, indie, and then rap. Tell me what genre you think they'd fit in, and then automatically that artist is put into that category. If your comment gets 10 likes or more, based on how many views this video, by the next monthly album reviews, so not for February, but for March, because I have a feeling I'll post these at the same time, by March's album review, if your artist got 10 likes or more, then they will be put as a random artist. So I'll still have a 6th artist, but this will be a 7th artist. So it's just 1 step closer. And if your artist gets 20 likes or more, again, they raise lower it based on how many views this video gets, then your artist will just automatically be the next artist I cover. So, yeah. It's pretty simple, really. Again, I have veto power, so if you request someone like R. Kelly, I'll just say no. Like, I'll literally comment to you, no. I'm not going to do R. Kelly. If there's any other, like, really problematic artists, I'm fine with problematic artists. I like Panic at the Disco, and they're in the running, and Brendan Urie's problematic as hell. But to an extent, I'm just going to say no and call it a day. But, yeah. So... let's get started. This week, this month, 2 months, bi-monthly, I am covering this band. In 2007, specifically August, Brian Sella and childhood friend Matthew Yukich began playing under the name The Front Bottoms. Matthew Yukich's brother, Brian Yukich, this is going to be really confusing, by the way, because Brian Solo, Brian Yukich, Matthew Yukich. began sitting in on practices and eventually asked to play with the band with an old keyboard he found in the attic. They began playing in New Jersey and even made 2 albums and an EP. One of the albums I remember was like My Grandma versus Pneumonia, and then Christians versus the Inferno. I don't remember the EP. But eventually, that got them signed with a little record label known as Bar None Records, which led to... In 2010, Brian Sella, Matthew Yukich, and Brian Yukich began to write material for 2 EPs, one entitled Grip and Tie, and the other entitled Slow Dance to Soft Rock. This, however, was canceled. But every song was put onto their debut studio album, released with Bar None Records in 2011, their self-titled effort. However, right before releasing this, Brian Yukich left the band to focus on his education. But his influence is still widely seen here. Some of the keys on this thing are insanely good. In fact, almost all of them are really good. Brian Yukich was just good at what he did. But that's not to discredit the other members of the band. On the opening track, Flashlight, the guitar is the best aspect of the song. And that's putting it lightly. Not to say the song is bad any other way, but it's definitely a weak point on the album. The lyrics are also pretty good. There's a lyric and it's like, I can hear your dog whistle from your bedroom. The coda, the split between Brian singing, is really well done. But some of the best tracks on here have some of the worst aspects on them. And I say that like this. The Beers, for example. The vocals are shit. They're terrible. But that only helps the track. The track would not be what it is without the vocals. There are lyrics on here that wouldn't work if Brian was singing them like an actual human. Like if he was singing them well, but they only work because of how he's singing them. There's a lyric and it's like, it's the cops coming in type of sobering up, because it's quick and fake is what he's trying to describe. And the song is just this constant reminder of a failing relationship. The chorus is insanely well done. The percussion is insanely good. Everything about the song is good and bad. Bathtub is one of the most stupidly emotive songs of the album. The best way I can describe it is shower depression. He's washing his hair with soap, is the big line. And it's like, it's supposed to be about feeling you need to change, but not knowing how. One of my other favorite tracks is Father, which opens on some off-key horns, but that's kind of good. The first verse is the one I want to focus on here, because it's insane. Like, the first verse starts with, I have a dream that I'm hitting my dad with a baseball bat, and he is screaming and crying for help. And about halfway through it, it became more about killing him than it ever did protecting myself. That's a great starter. I also want to give credit to Looking Like You Just Woke Up. This is the shortest song on the album, and it wastes no time. It gets right in. The lyrics hurt. Won't get easier, just easier to hide. It's really good. The other track I want to highlight is Rhode Island. It has some great horns and a guitar, but I want to highlight the story of it, specifically the first verse. So the first verse, and I quote from Genius's website, is about a kid who said he'd bike from Vermont to Florida with nothing but a fat bag full of drugs. 2 months later, they see him in a NYC with the bag empty. What the fuck? It's a great song, but like, what the fuck? I mean, it's really good. I like it a lot. But the only other track that I think is also really good, well, not the only other track, but the track I think is insanely good, is Mountain, and there's a couple of things with it. First of all, in the chorus, Fireworks was originally supposed to be Weed, but Brian changed it because it was his first album and he didn't want people to perceive him as a stoner right off the bat. And the line, "Stop taking pictures," doesn't mean live in the moment, it means stop giving evidence. So that's cool. But there's also this really interesting part about Brian's vocals, which will appear more often, is that he can go really nasally to just cracking. And I'll play a clip of that right now.
So I can ride my skateboard right back down it.
And it's this type of vocal demonstration that really sets Front Bottoms apart from everyone else in their genre. I also want to highlight real quick the closer, Hooped Earrings, I believe it's what it's called. Hooped Earrings, yeah. Which talks about helping a friend come out, and the progression of the song is really well done. In 2012, due to touring, they had Drew Villafuerte as the touring pianist. He swiftly left, to which he was replaced by Tom Warren and Cierno Donnell. Donnell was promoted to a full-on band member, playing the trumpet. Shortly after, they went into the studio to make their sophomore effort, Talon of the Hawk, released in 2013. And with this album, I feel I must address one song. First, Twin-Sized Mattresses. This one has been the popular one on TikTok recently, or the popular quote-unquote one, and it's fine. Like, the story is really well, and the lyrics are pretty good, but, I don't know. There's just something wrong with it. Like, it feels like they're trying too hard to be mainstream, you know what I mean? And, you know, hopefully this problem doesn't progress. Nobody tell him. Anyway, let's talk about Au Revoir, the opener. I feel like this song sums up the record. You start with this quiet guitar and these lyrics about a conflicting relationship, which is what most of these songs are about. Relationships. Most of the time, conflicting ones. And then you just get into this loud, screamy vocals. I don't want to say screamo because it's not. It's far from it. But, you know, screaming in terms of the Front Bottoms, screaming rock and roll, and you just banging your head. You know what I mean? This song sums up the record. If you want a good idea of whether or not you'll like this record, listen to Au Revoir. It's only a minute and like 50 seconds long, so take a listen and then listen to the rest of the record if you liked it. But I highly suggest skipping Skeleton on your first listen. Not because it's bad, it's just a bit weird. The only line that really stood out to me on my first listen was, "You are my student loans," which meant you're unavoidable, but the fuck was that line, man? I don't know. However, I'd skip to Swear to God the Devil Made Me Do It. It does have a bit of a weird intro, but the instrumental is really nice and the hook is really well done. There's a double entendre in the chorus that I think you'll really love if you liked Au Revoir. And also, on the final chorus, this is something that happens that I think is really neat. I don't know if you catch that, but like, but I know, and then the instrumental dropped for a second, see, and then the instrumental came back in. I really thought that was very neat. Although some people might disagree, I really liked it. I also would like to highlight Lone Star. It's very fast-paced, and on my first listen, I thought it was a panic attack set to music, and turns out I wasn't very far off, but it was in a friend's experience about getting an abortion, and holy shit. After my third and fourth listen, I started slowly seeing this comparison of Pinkerton because of its dark humor mixed with this terrible situation of, just thinking about what happened. Not necessarily of what happened was bad, but just feeling like it was. And also the feud is really good. Some of the lines on here are a bit weird, but it all sort of makes sense. The chorus does slap and the refrain hits like a truck. And it's about this girl he used to love leaving for someone else. And, it's really nice. Funny You Should Ask is also pretty good. I wouldn't recommend it for a first listen, but it's good enough. Also, I think Tattooed Tears is a really good song. Oh my god. The title itself is really smart because a tattooed tear usually means that either someone died or you killed someone, so it's like the death of a relationship that you killed. It's really smart. But it's about a girl who's struggling with mental health, and because of that, you screw up in a relationship to where it's irreparable. God. That's really all I have for Talon of the Hawk. I think it's their best album. However, if you're not into these loud vocals that pummel you, don't start with this. I still recommend listening to it, but don't start with it. In 2014, the band released an EP entitled Rose, and it's fine. If anything, listen to Be Nice to Me. It's a popular song on TikTok, but it's still really good. But then, in June of 2015, they announced that they signed to Fueled by Ramen, and 3 months later, they released Back on Top. And it's still good. You can definitely see some refinements in their style. There's less loudness that there was present on Talon of the Hawk and some of their self-titled, but that's instead traded in with new types of instruments like steel drums on the most popular song, The Plan, Fuck Jobs, which I think is really good, but it's a very... You have to like it, Like, you have to be okay with the fact that it's dumb. Or Two Young Lovers, or 2YL is what it's called, but it stands for Two Young Lovers. It's very to the point and very to an idea, but if you're not into a front-bottom song that isn't as deep, it's not for you. But for every one of those, you get a West Virginia, or a Plastic Flowers, or a Cough It Out, or a Laugh Till I Cry. And those are the songs that make this record so unique. The Front Bottoms figured out how to mesh stupid songs that are just meant to be fun with songs that are meant to make you think and cry to. And my favorite song on this record is by far Laugh Till I Cry. It has a great instrumental, it has an amazing bridge, and it has a pop rock feel, which is the big difference in this record from Talon of the Hawk. But the voice on the chorus makes it amazing, and it's about a couple in love for convenience that's just crumbling down before their very eyes, and they don't know what to do about it. I highly recommend this song. However, other songs that are well worth listening to are West Virginia, which shows the intro trying to find him a common with his girlfriend despite their long distance relationship that pelts into a guitar, and the transition from acoustic to electric is so seamless. Or Ginger, which features this amazing guitar and has some good, like, clap percussion, if you know what I mean. And it's actually about a dog that he rescued and him looking at their lives and seeing similarities between them. Yeah. I mean, this record is really good, but if you really hated Talon of the Hawk, this is where I'd go to for the front bottoms. Right here. If you love Talon of the Hawk, I'd still listen to it. It has some Talon of the Hawk type tendencies, but it's still not Talon of the Hawk. It sets itself apart. Like this line.
Okay, everybody shut the fuck up a minute. I have something to say. Listen, just because something burns bright, it doesn't mean it's gonna burn forever, so...
In 2017, it was announced that a new EP was coming out, and it was called Anne, and it was a collection of older songs just polished up. I highly recommend Tie-Dye Dragon. However, just before that, Going Grey was released, and along with that, Ciaran left the band. For undisclosed reasons. Put a pin in that. However, this album exists. This album isn't bad. I'm not going to say that. There are songs I really enjoy on this album. For example, Peace Sign, which might be one of their best songs of all time. And the chorus is meant to be like a peace out, fuck you, because it's peace sign, middle finger. And I really shouldn't like it. It has the same sort of feeling as The Plan does, where it's really dumb, but it's really likable for me. Everyone But You has an amazing chorus, a pretty good instrumental, and it's about recognizing that you're growing up. And it's really good, I think. The closer, Ocean, references 2YL and Summer Shandy, and it's about feelings for someone and the fear of sharing those feelings. The tempo change is really good, and the vocals are shitty, but it's the Beers kind of shitty. And it kept the track record of great closers. However, this album is way too refined for its own good. The vocals on this thing, while in some cases do work, rarely, very rarely, it's not the front bottoms vocals. It's this pop-friendly type vocals. And that really sucks, because the whole album is about growing up, since Going Grey is like your hair going gray. And that's really good, because some of these songs can dive into these topics like a motherfucker. For example, Vacation Town is about no longer feeling useful like a vacation town in the winter. But it doesn't work on this album, because there should be these vocals that hurt to hear. It should be Brian Sella trying his best to get everything through to you. This should have been on the self-titled if it was going to work, but it doesn't. I don't know what to do with this. I mean, Bay has some pretty good percussion, but it's just Charlie Black. Like, listen to the intro to Bay, and then listen to the intro of Charlie Black by Modern Baseball, and tell me you don't see a similarity. But Bay is also about thinking of the past, being annoyed with the present, and worried about the future. And that's a great topic. However, everything is so toned down on this record that nothing works. Well, not nothing, but you know what I mean. I mean, look at the opener. Holy fuck. Or sorry, you used to say, and then parentheses, holy fuck. When he says holy fuck, he has this weird auto-tune on it that just sucks. It doesn't work, and it probably won't ever work. And we're on Trampoline, where he tackles this idea of a failing relationship. The lyrics don't feel like a front bottom song. They feel like a bunch of executives got into a room and decided the best way to make a front bottom song. And that doesn't work. The front bottom songs always needed to come from the heart, and they did on every other record. Even on Summer Shandy, a song I didn't particularly love from Back on Top, I still appreciated it. There were still moments in that song where I was like, yup, this works. But there are songs that feel lifeless and soulless and disgusting. I'm not saying this album is bad because I don't think it is. But I don't think it's good either. It's just there. There are salvageable parts of this album, but there are also parts that I could throw in the garbage bin and forget about tomorrow. And I'm okay with that. In 2019, we found out why Siren left. In late 2019 to early 2020, multiple women came forward saying that Siren sexually assaulted them in a 2015 show. Multiple women even said that they notified the band only to be ghosted and then told then that they had to keep him because of an upcoming tour with Blink-182. However, amidst all that, we got 2 singles for their upcoming album, In Sickness and in Flames, which released in 2020. And an important note to this album is that in 2018, Brian Setzer got married. And In Sickness and in Flames is actually a play on In Sickness and in Health. But, based on the whole dumpster fire that year was, it was more suitable to say In Sickness and in Flames. And this album definitely comes across like a lifter-upper. The only album of the entire Front Bottoms discography that was entirely designed by Brian Setzer and Matthew Yukich and no one else except for maybe the record label and producers and shit. This is one of their best. Not the best, but up there. The opener, Everyone Blooms, is this amazing chorus, this hurting bridge with a great explosion of guitars and drums. And it's very straightforward, but it works. Camouflage, one of the singles, it has a weird intro, but the vocals are back. We don't get this cleaned up pop production that we got on Going Gray. It's the same. We get the nasalness, we get the stress, we get the bridge about his marriage. It's great. I mean, the only song I'd cut from this is Bus Beat, and it's because of the lines, I do it like that because that's the way my baby likes it. And he says it 15 times. But, I mean, this song is still good. I'd still skip it, but there are good parts of it. I'm going to learn how to sing, and then he intentionally sings off key, I think. And then the bridge making a reference to his wedding vows. And this song where he goes, I couldn't stop, so you didn't start. It's really good. I mean, Leaf Pile is the best Front Bottom song, and I will go to bat for it. This amazing first half that slaps, and the second half which makes you want to cry. It's great. New Song D has this electronic intro. There are some annoying background vocals, but that's okay, because the chorus is really endearing. Oh, I'm sorry. New Song D is where he goes, you wouldn't start because I couldn't stop. That's about his drinking issues. He references The Truth in second verse. The bridge references Motorcycle. Fairbanks, Alaska is this amazing acoustic ballad that feels really cozy and is really addictive. Also, Make Way references Summer Shandy in the second verse. The Truth references 2YL. Montgomery Forever references Montgomery Gardens, which was demolished to highlight the impermanence of all things. It wasn't demolished to highlight the impermanence of things, but he used the metaphor to highlight the impermanence of things. Even things that could have been set in stone still get destroyed. I mean, this album takes you from headbanging to crying. And that's what a Front Bottoms album should do. As of recent, the Front Bottoms have released 2 singles, Voodoo Magic and Loverboy. Highly recommend Voodoo Magic. Loverboy you can skip. However, if you'd like to get into the Front Bottoms, I'd highly recommend starting with Talon of the Hawk. And if you like that album a lot, head backwards to the self-titled effort, and then move through the EPs, and then go to In Sickness and in Flames. If you didn't like that album a whole heck of a lot, move forward from Back on Top to Going Gray to In Sickness and in Flames. On my Spotify, Carson the Music Talker, I will be putting a top 15 Front Bottoms songs there. I won't be doing a video for it, but I will put that video there. And next 2 months' artist will be Rage Against the Machine. If you'd like to recommend an artist for me to listen to, put it in the comments. 10 likes, it gets thrown into the final round. 20 likes, it's automatically picked. And at no likes, it's at least put into the running. Thank you for watching this video. Like, because why not? Comment, because why not? I will be doing the monthly album reviews. So, thanks for watching.